What is going on, everybody? It's Alex coming back at you with another video, and today, in honor of the Hall of Fame game, we are going to be putting up a quick mock draft. Yes, I've been doing all of my player study all summer long, and it's finally starting to amount to stuff that is going to be awesome for all of us. So if you guys want pretty damn close to daily content, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe because I put a lot of work into this. I love making stuff for y'all, even during these times, not exactly making the most money. I think that it's awesome being able to talk with you guys, be able to make good stuff for you guys, because I know you guys love it. So please feel free to join the community by doing all that fun YouTube stuff. And then there's also other links down in the description below to be even more invested, because there's a lot of fun stuff to come there. So let's kick this off. Again, you guys know the drill. It's a mock draft. We aren't going to be doing trades yet because this thing is going to go crazy. I am putting up season previews for every single team, and that is actually going to be a really fun thing because in the future we might be doing some mock drafts based off of the draft order that comes from those season previews and record predictions. So again, something to also be excited about. So let's start with this number one overall pick. Again, I did not make this draft order. This draft order is solely based, I believe, on Super Bowl odds, whatever the hell PFF honestly uses. So we're going to be trusting that one. I'm not making any claims about any of these teams by this draft order. I just want you guys to know that it's not my own custom draft order yet. So stay tuned for that one, because then you guys will pick me apart for that one. For now, I don't have responsibility over it. But number one overall, you have the Falcons. And at this point, you're really stuck between two or three players. I don't think Myles Murphy fits. He's my number one player in the class by a pretty solid margin. And not like point wise, but like I just am just so confident in Myles Murphy that he's going to be a beast. But again, it's pretty much down to Will Anderson or Bryce Young. I know a lot of people love CJ Stroud. He will be featured in this, and we got to keep it realistic. He's my QB4. I have a late one on him. Call me crazy. I know a lot of people have a lot bigger hate for CJ Stroud. I just think he's not a number one overall pick. Bryce Young has his own issues. He's not that large. So his frame's an issue, as well as arm strength. The rest is honestly perfect to pretty damn near. I do think he's in a class of his own. But if you are sitting here at pick number one, the real question is, are you going to be confident in Desmond Ridder doing something on your roster? I don't exactly believe that. Again, it's a third round pick. If it works out, awesome. But if you really thought he was your franchise guy, you would have taken him earlier. Again, I do thoroughly believe that. And I think that if you are at number one overall, most likely you tried him out and things just haven't worked. And they're like, again, Desmond Ridder wasn't like a super young prospect. He was not like a 20-year-old like Sam Howell was, where you have a lot of time to develop him. You still can develop Desmond Ridder for sure, but he was looked at that type of guy to be brought in day one and make an impact. Bryce Young just is on a different level. And again, when you look at the value, luckily these two players are at probably the offensive and defensive highest wins above replacement positions. So analytically, it makes sense. Bryce Young has been slipping in a lot of mock drafts for some reason to like 7. I don't think he will. Again, apparently last year was a rebuilding year for Alabama. I'm excited to see how Bryce Young develops over that period of time. Will Anderson would be great, but again, I honestly don't think that you exactly need to target Will Anderson at this time. There are some really good edges in this class, and I think the quarterback class tapers off pretty quickly. It's a good class, but I just think that the talent is heavily overrated. We're going to go Bryce Young, number one overall. Again, if it doesn't work, you still took a shot on it. Again, like there are going to be really good quarterbacks that come in the future for sure. But I think that if I'm sitting there, I'm going to say I'm going to give myself the best possible chance to win. And the biggest impact for that is going to be that quarterback position. Again, if you guys want to go after an edge rusher, you do you. But for me, I think that's the best return on my investment. Pick number 2, the Texans are on the board. And at this point, I think that Davis Mills actually will have a better year than what this is suggesting. Again, he's been lighting it up apparently in camp. Awesome for him. I was a big fan of him early on in that draft process. Gave him a 3rd round grade. He ended up going in the 3rd, so good for him. But he's progressed a lot quicker than what we expected, which is great. I don't think they're actually going to be there, but let's assume that they are. I would be considering Will Anderson, Myles Murphy. Again, I still think quarterback is the position to target here. I don't think CJ Stroud is going to be exactly that option, though. I just don't. I really don't. I think that going after a freak player like Will Anderson is going to be your best return. So that's exactly what we're going to do. He's a freak. And it's just, again, you're giving Davis Mills one more year. You do have quarterbacks coming in the 2024 class that are absolutely baller. You could say the same thing for this pick number 1, but the Falcons are actually in a division where they can quickly take over. Tom Brady might not be there the next year. The Panthers still, no disrespect, they still kind of suck, especially at that quarterback position. So by essentially getting Bryce Young, you're also playing a form of defense against the Panthers being able to nab a high-end quarterback like Bryce Young. Pick number 3, the Lions are on the board, and this is a spot where you could try to target like a different position than QB, because I don't exactly think that QB needs to be the spot 3, but I think that the value is just, it makes sense. So CJ Stroud definitely is going to be in this top 5 range. I do believe that. I still don't believe in him that way. So we're blending it. We didn't put him at number 1 or number 2. We'll say the Lions are probably comfortable with him at number 3. Tyler Van Dyke is another guy I would put in that mix, but I don't think Anthony Richardson's somebody, unless he pans out, because he's my QB too, but I'm praying on him to pan out. I don't think that he's going to be somebody that's going to be put in the top 3 very often. CJ Stroud, we know he'll be up there high. And again, you have 2 first-round picks. Take a shot on a QB. It doesn't work out, you still have another first-round talent on your team. Pick number 4, the Seahawks. This is another team that could really use a quarterback, and there's some studs on the board. It's really hard not to pass on them, but I am going to, because I know that I'd probably try to target either edge or corner. Those are 2 positions that honestly are pretty good later in the first as well. This is where I'm going to be taking a shot on somebody like Anthony Richardson, because at the end of the day, you have your first-round pick still. You are able to be able to capitalize on that. And Anthony Richardson is ungodly in terms of his talent. CJ Stroud has put the numbers on the field. Anthony Richardson is just pure potential. So again, love Anthony Richardson. He has the strongest arm in the class. He's extremely athletic, 6'4", 236. Just, he's a freak. He's a physical freak, and I'm excited to see what he can do in the NFL. Jets at pick 5. I've been hearing stuff like Joe Flacco out battling he's going to be the QB1 apparently in camp. Obviously I don't think Zach Wilson is going to be losing his job, but that's just not a good sign if he's not able to outperform him in practice. That's not a good sign. Regardless, I'm not going to say they're going QB in this situation. You still need to continue pressing forward, trying to see if you can get that final thing to click in Zach Wilson's head. But Jalen Carter is a freak. He's my number 6 player in the draft. Just somebody you have to lock in right away. Jaguars, pick 6. Excited to see y'all tonight. So I know ETN and Trevor Lawrence aren't going to play, but apparently Trevon Walker is. That's what I'm showing up for. That's what the preseason's about, guys. It's not to see whether the teams are going to be good. It's to see whether the rookies are even worth keeping on the roster in the long haul, and just to track their progress. So big fan of being able to watch these preseason games. A lot of people hate them. I love them. Now, I think Myles Murphy would be honestly a pretty fun addition to this squad. Again, it's not a necessity by any stretch of the imagination. A corner 2 would be awesome as well. I think they'll be available in round 2. Wide receiver, again, I think that wide receiver is probably going to be the target position for them. They do need help at a wide receiver 1 spot for sure. If they're not going to be continuing to blow money in free agency at them, that's the little caveat right there. I would be really I want to just go Myles Murphy and just say, hey, it's just BPA at this point, but you can't do that with Josh Allen, Trevon Walker. I mean, you can put Myles Murphy inside. That'd be the only way I could see it. But I think I'd rather go after someone like Kayshon Boutte. I would. Wide receiver has been a very productive position in terms of wins above replacement for those guys who take the elite step. I don't think Kayshon Boutte is there yet. He's injury prone, but let's just assume for this that he actually stays healthy during the year. And hopefully he can just work on the jugs machine. If he does that, he can be an elite level wide receiver. Very, very smooth as an athlete. I'm a big fan of what Kayshon Boutte could be. I'm not a Jackson Smith and Jigba type of guy, even though that archetype has actually been proven to be pretty good. I think we're banking too much on the Michael Thomases and the Cooper Kupps of the world, that a slower receiver can, we're basically banking on the fact that slower receivers can perform. And those guys are just elite. I don't think JSN is there yet. He's a smooth athlete, but we'll talk about him when he gets drafted. Pick number 7, we have the Panthers on the board. This team also needs a quarterback, man. And I'm stuck between getting a high-end edge rusher like Myles Murphy, who, again, my number one player in the draft, as well as a quarterback. And again, you have to go QB here. Tyler Van Dyke is going to be the guy who steps in. He's going to be the upgraded version of Baker Mayfield for you. Going to come without the ego problems, if I'm not mistaken, as well. You just have to continue spitting at the wall at this point. These guys are actually worth first-round picks, unlike the quarterbacks of this past draft. So at least at this point, you're getting somebody who's worth it. I'm expecting a big rise out of TVD as well. So we do have 4 quarterbacks going in the top 7, but all these guys have their own strong suits. They're all NFL caliber quarterbacks that don't have very large issues like the ones we've seen in the year prior. Pick 8 for the Bears. This one's actually really easy for me. Myles Murphy is the pick. You definitely need some extra help after losing Khalil Mack, and honestly, Myles Murphy can help out on the interior as well. So love Myles Murphy. That's the way we're going to rock. Pick number 9. The Giants are on the clock and quarterback is not available. And that kind of sucks because that's a primary position to target. I know a lot of people love Will Levis. He's not going to be drafted in this. Like straight up, he has 15 big time throws in an entire year as somebody with a big arm, and he has a lot of interceptions, poor mechanics, couldn't beat out Sean Clifford. I'm drafting Tanner McKee 10 times before I draft Will Levis. That's just so you get your expectations set. That's where we're at. Defensive wise, I think cornerback could actually be a position to target for the Giants. So Keely Ringo is an excellent choice for them. I'm looking at other guys on the board. Garrett Williams is a stud. Big fan of Garrett Williams. I can't really find anything else I'd want to target here. So I'm definitely going to be rocking that corner route. Again, a super high wins above replacement position right there. And when you look at the guys available, Joey Porter would be awesome, but I'm trying to find someone who's really good in man. And this is going to be a shock to a lot of people because I really like Keely Ringo, but we're actually going to be going because they list him as a safety, which doesn't make sense. Garrett Williams out of Syracuse. He is so dynamic as an athlete and he is just sticky in coverage. You guys should watch him. He plays double moves better than anybody I've ever seen. He runs the route for the wide receiver. Garrett Williams is just unbelievable. He's not exactly sticky and press the way some of these high-end corners like Keely Ringo are, but holy shit, like they are phenomenal. Garrett Williams, big fan of him. Number 10, we have Washington Commanders. So for me, this probably is going to be a defensive back type of position. Edge rusher's not exactly a primary need. Interior is not a need right now. I'm also not a big fan of Brian Bryce. He's not going to be featured in this, and that's going to piss a lot of people off. But again, he really isn't that good. This is going to sound very harsh, but he's lazy. You see him give up on reps all the time. He jogs on the field. He's also injury prone. So I don't even think he's the best defensive lineman on Clemson by a long shot. He might not be the second best. So that's going to be a shock to a lot of you. But after watching a lot of Brian Bryce, not exactly a fan. So just keep that in mind. We've seen these guys who are top end interior talents at the start of the year drop off. So again, keep that in mind. For Washington, though, I think defensive back is an excellent position to go. Offensive line's pretty sealed up. You're not going running back this high. I pray to God. Quarterback just isn't good enough. And wide receiver, you guys have enough talent, in my opinion. You guys have enough. So I don't really think that any of these guys really fit. And on defense, your team's actually really good. I would still look for another linebacker like a true Mike. And I'm not drafting Noah Sewell this high after watching him. He has a lot of issues, including tackling. And this team, linebacker is not a very highly valued position anyway. So with that being said, I'm going to be going a defensive back and continuing to just bolster this team. I think Antonio Johnson would be really fun. And honestly, I think he can fit anywhere. I think he can even be a boundary corner. He's going to play safety this year. But he played slot better than anybody we've arguably ever seen last year. And then I think he can also play boundary. That versatility is ridiculous. Antonio Johnson, I am a huge fan of. According to my grading scale, he is half a point off being a blue chip prospect. And that is at a cornerback position as well as at the safety position. Huge fan of Antonio Johnson. Steelers here, I think this is also going to be a defensive back. Unfortunately, I don't have this guy in here. His name's Jalen Jones, and they don't have him, of course, because that's going to be PFF. Jalen Jones, 6'2", 205 pounds, my number one graded defensive back in the class. You guys can check out that video. We'll just put who's not going to get drafted here. We'll put Noah Daniels there because I know there's a lot of Noah Daniels fans. So for the people who don't actually watch it, they'll see Noah Daniels in the top like 15. They'll be like, holy crap, like how could you do that? For the people like you who I love who are actually watching this, that right there is going to actually be Jalen Jones out of Texas A&M. Both TAMU guys go back to back. Now, for the Vikings, this is a perfect spot for Jackson Smith-Njigba. Again, somebody who could really take a step up from Adam Thielen's role, add just another versatile piece, a smooth mover similar to Justin Jefferson without that exact speed. I think that would be an excellent addition and a great fit for JSN. So again, not exactly going crazy here, but I do think he'd be a really fun option. And he's not going to have to be the primary piece, which is going to be awesome because then you're going to have two really high-end weapons. Again, I have him as an early second, late first. It's not like I hate JSN. It's just the hype for Jackson Smith-Njigba is way too through the roof. Now the Eagles. Ain't no way in hell I'm going to be drafting a defensive interior for you guys. So don't worry about that. I think that edge rusher is definitely a position I would like to target. However, when you look at the edges on the board, ain't no way in hell. Gervon Dexter's a defensive interior. I would much rather wait or go like ZTF, BJ Ojolari than like, because Andre Carter, I love him to death. And low-key, he might be this pick. I love Andre Carter. He mainly plays wide nine. That's primarily what the Jets do. And if you guys don't understand what wide nine is, basically, here's an offensive tackle. Here's where a defensive end usually lines up. It's called five tech. And then here's a wide nine. So they come in at a really sharp angle. And he had a couple snaps at five tech and he performed very well. But the Eagles don't run wide nine. It'd be a little bit weird trying to pray that he can schematically fit. So that's why I'm a little bit hesitant. They do need a corner, though. Keely Ringo would be a great option because I think he's very well balanced overall and very good in press. So I think that'd be awesome. But you have a second first-round pick as well. And like looking at the guys on the board, Keely Ringo, Eli Ricks, as well as Joey Porter, all could be guys who I think are excellent for that spot. And I don't see all three of them going in 4 picks, right? So you're still going to get a very solid guy out of there. Therefore, I think Andre Carter would be a phenomenal option because, again, 6'7", 260 pounds. Dude's going to run, I believe, in the high 4.4s. This guy is flying on the field. He might be like at worst 4.5s. And he's extremely strong. And again, those reps that I've seen that he plays at a translatable position, he does a very good job at. So again, you already know he's in our armed forces. The guy has a crazy mentality, crazy motor as it is. So again, respect to him for that. And that has nothing to do with this pick, honestly. He's just going to be a monster there. So big fan of what Andre Carter could bring to this team. Pick number 14, I do think Brian Bresee probably is going to be in the first round, but I can't pull the trigger. I know you guys traded for Rock Ya-Sin, so I don't know about going even after Keely Ringo, but I could see offensive line being a potential because obviously the right tackle, Alex Leatherwood, has not panned out for you. It's a weird spot. Broderick Jones would be a fun option as well. You could even go Bijan Robinson and get a true back to just totally set the pace and set the tone. That might piss some people off, but I might do it because honestly, that'd be a really fun option for the team. And he is going to set himself apart as a top end running back. So we could certainly see it. Anton Harrison would be fun, but again, you don't need that left tackle. You need to focus probably on that right tackle more than anything. Broderick Jones, I think, is going to take a very large rise, and I think he's going to be a top 10 player. I'm going to be drafting him here. You can never go wrong with going offensive line. Broderick Jones, as well as Anton Harrison, are my confirmed top 2 tackles, and I think he's going to make a very good impression there. You have Leatherwood at guard, where I thought he should have been. Then you're also going to have Broderick Jones. Your offensive line is going to start meshing together very well. Now, number 15, you got the Patriots. And Patriots, I think corner is probably the best way to go. And I think that you guys can take a shot on a freak Joey Porter Jr., 6'2", about 200 pounds. He's like 192. Okay, let's not go crazy. But elite in press. Honestly, his best skills are in zone, which the Patriots aren't exactly known for, but Bill is great at training them in man. Zone is amazing because you can tell how they feel the field. You can see how they're aware in space. And that is something I'd be much more wanting to project, like an increase in man than an increase in zone. So Joey Porter, to put it bluntly, I think Bill Belichick can make him better in man, and Joey Porter is very smart in zone. So he's going to be much better than a guy who's really good in man. Number 16, we have the Titans, and I think this is a great spot to eventually go an offensive tackle, because I really do think that tackle spot is something you should try to address. Anton Harrison is my number one offensive tackle in the class. He's been playing, I believe, since his true freshman year as a left tackle in a very successful offense. He's going to be a guy who's going to get a lot of hype. Very excited to see Anton Harrison up in here. So we'll see. Time will show. They're going to continue developing, and it's going to be exciting. So now the Texans with the Cleveland Browns pick for Deshaun Watson are on the board, and we have already gone after Will Anderson right there. Again, we're not going to be going quarterback. We're going to continue developing this team overall. I still think tackle could be a position you do target. Technically, I would probably try to trade out of the spot. If we're going to be honest, I would probably try to trade out of here. Again, if you had Anton or Broderick Jones on the board, I would be just pulling that trigger right away. But looking at the guys available, it's a really tough spot. But you still have guys like Kelee Ringo here. I know you have some very talented corners as it is. Obviously, you drafted one at number 3 overall with Derek Stingley Jr. But let's look at the edge. Let's look at the edge class. See who's still here. Gervon Dexter, again, he's not an edge. But I think that you could try to test out a guy like BJ Ojulari, or you can try out Zion Tupuola-Fatui at edge. And Zion came back from an injury last year, and he lacked the confidence to really go get it. And he's actually higher graded than BJ. I'm going to be taking him here. I think he's going to get that confidence back. He is a mean ass dude. He straight up swats the hell out of people's hands. I'm a big fan of ZTF. Watch out for his big rise right here. Eagles are going to be able to get Kelee Ringo. He's amazing overall. No, I am not an Eagles fan for the people who continue saying I'm an Eagles fan. My best friend is. So that's why I know how to draft for y'all. Eli Ricks is another great option. Probably fits better, but Kelee Ringo just is Kelee Ringo. Ravens on the board. I just did y'all's video for the preseason preview, and you guys can check it out tomorrow on Friday to see what happens there. But bottom line, I was looking at it, and linebacker is a position where I'm a little bit sketched out, guys. I'm going to be honest. And I think that's a position we can definitely address. Wide receiver is pretty bad too. But I'll say this. Linebacker class, straight cheeks. Horrible. But the wide receiver class, very deep. And I think you can get some very good options later on. Can't do that with linebacker. And I'm going to be going Noah Sewell, the only first-round linebacker that I think. There's some others that are like fringe seconds. But yeah, Noah Sewell's the guaranteed guy to go in this range. Pick number 20, you got the Cards on the board. And for me, they just signed their offensive tackle, DJ Humphries, to a 3-year monster contract. Obviously, you have Kyler Murray there. I would not be continuing to develop probably on the offensive side, except for a running back that Bijan Robinson is. I'm going to be going that route. Again, continue to help out Kyler Murray. Given the contract you gave him, you already know that he's probably going to be really pissy if you end up going against that. So being able to have a fully well-rounded offense, honestly, is the only way to appease your quarterback as well as remain effective with that type of attitude. So Bijan Robinson's a beast as well. Can we just get past that? He's the only first-round running back I really have, because Deuce Vaughn is my number 2, and this class is really deep. So, Deuce being 5'6" isn't really a first-round quality running back, in my opinion. But number 21 here, we have the Seahawks, who, if I'm not mistaken, went Anthony Richardson earlier. So now we can just get another monster on the board. And for me, I'm looking for an edge rusher here. Gervon Dexter is not an edge rusher, but he would be a fun interior player to add in. BJ Ojolari is the guy who I'm really starting to hone in on. And this guy has so much potential. If he just gets a little bit more effective in the run game, holy crap, this guy is going to light it up. Big fan of BJ Ojolari. Pick number 22, you got the Los Angeles Chargers. And I think that going a wide receiver would be so fun. Jordan Addison is an excellent choice, but I'm projecting Jermaine Burton to go off. I have Jordan Addison above Jermaine Burton, but again, it's really tough to choose between the two. And I think Jermaine Burton's going to get a lot of hype because you're going to see him more in the postseason. He's going to run faster than Jordan Addison as well. I'm going to be going Jermaine Burton here, get an electric deep threat weapon for the big ass arm Justin Herbert. Pick number 23, the unfortunate first pick of the Miami Dolphins. That hurts to say. I do like the Dolphins. So Peter Skoronski is on the board. You could try to switch him over to right tackle, but you have enough tackle guard hybrids at the moment to where I can't do that for you. That would just hurt me too much. So I'm not going to. I might, honestly, the more I think about it. Quarterback might be on your list, though. Taron McKee might not be a bad choice. You would have been at pick 15. You didn't make the playoffs. It's time to possibly look elsewhere. That could be a position you target. Running back isn't good enough right now. You don't need anything on the interior. Like you could look maybe for a defensive player. Man, I might just go BPA at this point. I might have to. Because again, I don't really see much else that can really help you at this point. Rather than just saying, hey, Peter Skoronski, can you play right tackle for us? If so, awesome. If not, well, shoot, we tried, right? Paris Johnson's another guy who you can have in there. He's going to be playing left tackle this year, but he's played right guard for most of his career. He might be more comfortable on the right, but we're going to go Peter Skoronski here out of Northwestern. I usually rip people apart when they do that. But again, looking at the guys on the board, I think that's probably the best case scenario. Pick number 24, the Indianapolis Colts. This is a team that could be looking for someone like Tanner McKee to just sit and be able to learn, because we don't know how much longer Matty Ice has on his resume. But I think that you could end up actually going another wide receiver here. Quentin Johnston would be a fun option, but I do know that getting another weapon like Jordan Addison would be really nice to continue adding more fun weapons in that offense overall. Jordan Addison's a really good player. He's my number 3 wide receiver in the class. So again, you get my big thumbs up there. Cowboys, you know what? With the way the wide receiver core is looking, you got Michael Gallup, and then you have obviously CeeDee Lamb. Apart from that, it's not really like looking that pretty for you. And that's not good because Michael Gallup's also been injury prone. Well, he at least got injured this last year. So I'm going to be continuing to make America's team more energetic. Get a monster in Quentin Johnston right down the road from Arlington. They've been watching him a lot. I said the same thing with how, oh my God, I'm now bugging on Tyler Smith. He was always trying to play. He was always playing at SMU versus SMU. You have a lot of scouts that are really close to SMU. So being able to watch as Tyler Smith just absolutely obliterates people, as well as come around not the Big 12. Oh my goodness, the American Athletic Conference. They just naturally fell in love with him. And that was awesome. It was great to see because everybody ripped me apart for it, but I told y'all there was a chance. I think the same thing with Quentin Johnston. He's a beast, 6'4", 205 pounds, and strongest hands in the class. I think that Simi Fehoko could have a similar role, but I think Quentin Johnston's just that much better. Pick number 26 for the Bengals. Now, this is where I would consider another linebacker. A lot of linebackers are coming up for contract come very soon. Tight end also should be in the mix. I do believe that, but I don't really know about that. I don't know. This tight end class, there's a lot of pretty good guys. I wouldn't exactly pull the trigger on that type of position just yet. So when you're looking at it, defensive front is fine. Linebackers, again, I'd be looking at someone like Trent Simpson and saying, hey, I'm going to take a shot on you. I'm going to take a chance. And that's exactly what we're going to do. He graded out as a second-round linebacker for me, but I think that the lack of depth at the position will push him into this realm because he is a very versatile player, and he's very athletic. Pick number 27, you got the Leones on the board, who took a quarterback, if I'm not mistaken. Didn't they take one? Yeah, they took CJ Stroud. So with CJ Stroud on the board or off the board, you can now look at your quarterback situation being solved. Running backs fine. Offensive line looking good. Wide receiver probably could still develop that a little bit. Let's check out the guys who are on the board. I still honestly have my number one wide receiver or number 1A or 1B, and that is Xavier Hutchinson on the board. I don't think he goes in the first, so I'm not going to do that to y'all. And I know not a lot of people love him the way I do, but we'll leave it at that. Defensive wise, we've already addressed edge multiple times, including this last draft. Defensive interior, you could just try to beef it up with Brian Bryce, because I do know he probably should go in this first round, but I'm just really not that big of a fan of him. I would say Gervon Dexter would be an option, though. Linebacker, again, Henry Teotio is a guy who I think will end up sneaking into the first because of his athleticism. He's going to have another year under his belt as well, and he graded out very similarly to Trent Simpson. So that's where I'm going to go. Again, going a quarterback and a linebacker, you're going on one high position that both of them are needs, but you're going one position that addresses a very high value position, and one of them that's getting a really good role player with pretty much house money. Pick number 28, you got the Packers on the board. That would have been nice to be able to get Quentin Johnston, wouldn't it? Sucks. I know. I apologize. But I would still look at Xavier Hutchinson at this point. I really would. I think that'd be an excellent option for you guys. Not going to do that, though, because also the Packers just don't do that. I think tight end is an excellent option for you guys to target. And I think Sam Laporta fits better than any of these guys. He is my number one tight end. Eric Gilbert has the most potential, though. So we'll definitely see where he ends up. But I'm actually going to go Sam Laporta here. Michael Mayer is not that talented. He just can't separate. And I've been Michael Mayer's biggest fan for a hot minute. So just take it from me. He's not as good as what people think. Pick number 29 with the Kansas City Chiefs. I would honestly be looking for an electric weapon here, and Zay Flowers might be the guy who I would take. Obviously, he's not in this group, but I don't think that they would take him in the first. You look at it, they could go another edge rusher. They could go a defensive interior like Brian Bryce. They could go a corner as well. I know they got Trent McDuffie last year. Still can continue to develop that corner core. Offensive line, again, another position that I would consider targeting, not running back. Don't worry. I mean, I would consider it. But Paris Johnson is a dude who I would consider right now. I think that's the best choice overall because, again, he's going to be a lot more versatile, and you can't go wrong drafting offensive line. Pick number 30, you have the Buccaneers. And I think now they're going to understand that Brady is probably going to be gone. He's played till he's 45. And you know what? He got to the Super Bowl. He lost, but he honestly went out on a very valiant effort. Tanner McKee is the guy who I am going to draft at this point. Pick number 31, you have the Buffalo Bills ending off the draft. Let's see. Who can we draft for them? I think Gervon Dexter could be a really fun interior player for them. I don't think they actually go after it, but it's still on the table. We can still kind of hold that off. Running back, they went it in the second round last year. But I think an interior offensive lineman like Andrew Voorhees would be an excellent addition. If I'm not mistaken, they plugged a hole with Roger Saffold for a year. Voorhees is my number one offensive lineman. He's just a little bit older. So let's patch it up with that pick. And with that, we have ended the draft. So let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you on the far side. Peace.